Welcome everybody at this session about continuous delivery. This is a case study from ING where the focus will be on the continuous delivery pipeline. And these are the topics that I'm going to be covering today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we did with ING so far, doing our journey of Agile Scrum and continuous delivery, DevOps sort of things. And then I'm going to focus on the continuous delivery pipeline. And what I want to do, especially for you today, is show you some specific characteristics of the continuous delivery pipeline. I'm not going to be speaking about too much details of the pipeline itself, but instead of that, I'm going to show you how to improve a continuous delivery pipeline and to get even more benefits out of it. And we do that via analytics, via containers, via microservices. So let's quickly move on. So this is me. Just to introduce you a bit, like Scrum Master, Black Belt, these kind of things. And I want to tell you about ING. Now maybe you know a little bit about ING. We made up a slide which basically said, hey, ING is a big bank. Lots of countries, lots of customers, so we're a fairly large bank. Let's say we used to be a traditional bank, existing for a couple of decades, even centuries, I think. But I think we did something special. Way back in 2009, things started to change within ING. We started to believe that things should be better. The old way of working, of waterfall, of a lot of outsourcing, these kind of things, were no longer working. The costs were too high, the delivery was too slow, it simply didn't pay off too much. So we really went for higher productivity, more frequent releases, and we started to change things. And just to show you a couple of things, there it is, that we're changing. These are the momentums. You can see that, for example, we kind of went to Agile Scrum, let's say around 2010, where we started to develop the new mobile app of ING. We adopted Agile Scrum, we adopted continuous delivery, we changed the whole organization to DevOps. We fully integrated Ops with Dev all around the organization. And we are now trying to integrate with the infrastructure departments. We even integrated our business with our DevOps teams. So we did a lot of things in the journey of Agile and continuous delivery. So let's focus a bit more on continuous delivery. Continuous delivery means flow, which means that you continuously are delivering working software to production. And that means that you have to automate really everything in the flow. If you have manual steps, it will simply take too long for you to constantly deliver software on and on and on again through your pipeline. So the last couple of years, we spent a lot of effort in automating all of these processes, which means automating your builds, automating your quality checks, automating your security checks, automating deployments, tests, whatever, everything has been automated. And we can say that this really paid off. What we see is that we really increased our cycle time, which means from idea to production for a feature really went up in terms of that we could speed up. We had far less incidents, and the number of releases went through the roof. As you can see in the chart, that's a chart for, let's say, all the environments, but we are releasing like somewhere between 12 to 18,000 times a month. And of course, you can never do that manually, so you have to do that automated. So these are kind of things that we already did. It sounds fantastic. So are we now in heaven? No, we are not yet in heaven. So there's still a lot of things to improve. But to be honest, we have these capabilities, but we still not have these capabilities all around the organization. So what you really want to have is the best team as a sort of qualifier for all of the teams. You want standardization there, you want maturity, but you want also insights of what you're doing. So we have a lot of areas where we still can improve. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. Because let's look at the continuous delivery pipeline. This is a really high-level overview of what our continuous delivery pipeline looks like. It's a high-level overview. There are more tools and there's more complexity about it. But what you see is we go from source, a developer develops some source code, checks it in, it's been automatically built. After it's been built, it's automatically code checked, the quality checks are being done, the security checks are being done automatically. It's stored in an artifact repository, and from then, and this is all done by Jenkins orchestration, it's automatically deployed in a test environment, and from there, automated tests are kicked off. If these tests succeed, it's automatically deployed in the next environment, and new tests are being kicked off, and again, until you reach the point where you can go to production. We've chosen for the most of the deployments to set there a manual interaction for some kind of manager to say, okay, guys, this is enough now. I'm going to decide whether or not this release will go to production or not. The rest of it is all automated. But you want to learn from that, because the fact that it's possible does not necessarily mean that people will be using it. So it will be very interesting to know how are all the teams that now have the ability to use this continuous delivery pipeline, and we have a lot of teams who are doing that within our organization. How are they doing this? What are they doing with this pipeline? Are they doing this indeed every day, or are they doing it every month, or are they not doing it at all? So, and what are they doing, and how many tests are they doing, and what is the quality of their products? And from Lean we learn that if you measure, you know, you have insight, and if you measure, you can improve. So that is one of the key things that we started to add to our continuous delivery pipeline. We wanted to have metrics. Collect metrics from everything that you're doing within your continuous delivery process. And for that, we created an event bus, which is actually a Kafka bus, which collects all of the data from all the tools and all the steps in the process that you can imagine. And all this data is going to a big database and is then being put through to metric tools, which gives us a lot of insights about what is happening in the continuous delivery pipeline. So with this data, you can do a lot of things. One of the things you can do with data, for example, is you measure the quality of your release automatically. This is the work that's normally being done by quality assurance people, testing people. But what we try to do is to collect the data and have a dashboard. You see the dashboard over there. It says I validate. And there all the data comes together on the quality and the maturity of a release. That goes very wrong. If only if the release is mature enough, it can go to production. This is not something that will be a surprise, because you can follow this all through the continuous delivery pipeline, what the maturity of your release will be. So there are no surprises when a team wants to go to production, because you know. There's nobody, let's say, manually checking again, like, hey, do I like this release? There's no handover from dev to ops, where they say, hey, I have all these acceptance criteria and I might reject your release because I do not really like it. No, it's only that list that matters. If everything is green in the list, the release can go to production. It's that simple. This is what you can do with the data. Another thing that you can do is not only measure what goes through the pipeline, but also the use of the pipeline. So many teams are using it, so you can compare. So you see, for example, a simple chart there. And you see that one team is taking, in this simple example, 135 days to release software by average. Another team is doing it in 26 days. So what's the difference? And this is just an example where you can say, hey, you can compare the teams. It's simple lean theory that you can compare and see, hey, what can this team learn from another team? And maybe can they also improve to go to 26 days? There's also something that you can do with the data. So now that we have this data, all this collecting data in the continuous delivery pipeline and so many teams using it, what you see now happening is that this continuous delivery pipeline is becoming the single point of control for the IT landscape. Because it's not only a tool that you need to deploy and you ship your software, but it's also the tool where you have always clear insight of what is happening in your complete delivery process. The status is always clear. The status about where is my app, which release is currently being developed, how far is it, what is the quality, when is it going to be released, it's all there. So it's going to become the single point of control in the IT landscape. And then you can draw a conclusion. It's no longer playtime for these tools. The continuous delivery pipeline becomes the core center, essential thing that has to be available. So you can no longer say, hey, the only thing that, for example, matters is that my website is up and that my mobile app is working. The continuous delivery pipeline is becoming just as important as these kind of applications. It needs to be available 24/7. So important it is for all our users to be able to deliver constantly software. So, if it's so important, yeah, you have to take measures. Because the continuous delivery pipeline is normally a selection of tools, open source tools, tools from CA like release automation, but you have to take additional measures to make sure that these tools are really highly available. And this is where we come up with some new notions. We have to be really creative and innovative to bring this continuous delivery pipeline up to the next level. Because we want to make sure that it really is always 24/7 available for the end users. So that brings us to the notion that we really need some new techniques there. So, looking again at the continuous delivery pipeline, I already explained about the metrics and the tools. A lot of this stuff we have implemented in Docker containers, simply because you can really run them, for example, multiple times. You can make them automatically highly available. If one container dies, you can automatically switch to another container. Or you can automatically spin up another container. And if you don't trust it, you spin up yet another container, which makes it not DR, but really high available. We've already done that for a lot of the automated testing tools. Much of the automated testing tools that we have in our continuous delivery pipeline run in Docker containers. The test data, of course, before the container dies, the test data is saved, again in our central metrics database. And also, for example, the whole build process with Jenkins and for Java that is with Maven and SonarQube, etc., is all going to be run in containers. Which means that every team will have its own, like we call it, build server, which is no longer a server, but which is a set of Docker containers. And they can have as many as they want. If they feel they have a busy day, they spin up more containers. And because of we have a flexible container platform beneath that, with flexible resources, we can add additional resources to make sure that there's always the capacity that the teams need to do their work. If it's busy, we add more capacity so they can do more work. If it's not so busy, we can even maybe spin that a little bit down. Our private cloud makes it possible to really be agile in these kind of resource allocations. Also, you see that, for example, I think the event bus is also running in Docker containers. Only, let's say, the tools which are really with a lot of data, like GitLab, which is a sort of GitHub, and Artifactory, they are not running in containers because they are dealing currently with a lot of data. We also want to have to make sure that all this data is available to everybody in a flexible way. So we now have in this continuous delivery pipeline with containers made it high available, but we also want to make sure that everybody can access it. So on top of that, we added an API layer, so that everything that you see in this continuous delivery pipeline can be accessed by APIs. And these APIs, now, we connect them to a user portal, which means that you can make the continuous delivery pipeline a generic experience. It will no longer be a set of separate tools, and it's no longer that users can cherry pick. Let's say I like release automation and I like Jenkins, but hey, I don't really like Artifactory. That's no longer the case. What we do is we really integrate all the tools together and to make it one continuous delivery as a service. With on top of that a user portal that allows you to request the services that you need for this. So the APIs make that possible. And currently we only connect the APIs to the user portal, but it will make it possible also to connect the continuous delivery pipeline to other parties as well, because of the flexibility of the APIs that you have. And again, to make it high available, the APIs are running in containers, in Docker containers. So to say a little bit more about that, I promised to say something about containers and microservices. So what we did is we split up all the tools that we built around the continuous delivery pipeline. So the pipeline itself contains of open source tools and vendor tools. Around that, we built our own things, which is custom built. And these are all built in microservices. So what you see running in containers are microservices, custom built. So around it is the metrics part, is the API part, is the user portal part. All microservices. And I've added a small picture. It's not readable, I guess. What you see there is when you're running containers on this scale, you need some kind of tooling to, let's say, manage all of those Docker containers. If you have like 2 or 3 Docker containers, there's no problem at all. But if you have hundreds and hundreds, you're getting a resource problem. So you need new tools. So you need something like Mesos, or you need Kubernetes. Currently, we have done it with Mesos and Marathon, but maybe Kubernetes is just as well, maybe even better. We'll find out. This is the solution that we currently run. What you see in the picture here, all the green bars, are instances of Docker containers that you can track via those tools. And the funny thing is, you can really see that if a container dies, you automatically see it in your monitoring, and the system will automatically spin the container up again. It has self-healing capabilities. And that's what makes it so special, because your continuous delivery pipeline, like I said, it's so important, it cannot fail. You need these self-healing capabilities inside of it. And I think that is what we have done with these kind of techniques in it. Okay, going pretty fast. I'm already going to the summary, but then there's a lot of room for questions, of course. This is the summary of what I've been talking about. ING has been transformed to an agile organization for the past 6 years. And in these 6 years, we have developed a continuous delivery pipeline. A pipeline to be used for all the teams. Like I said, it's important to have this pipeline highly available, so we use a lot of containers there. We split the services in microservices to make it highly available, and we have APIs. Now we have another challenge, because this is what we have done in the Netherlands, but now the challenge is to bring this to a global level. So our assignment is to bring this capability to all of the countries within ING that are developing to use this continuous delivery pipeline. And you can understand that it will bring a lot of challenges, because every country has its own regulations, its own specific things and needs, etc. But this will be the basis on which we will extend the use of the continuous delivery pipeline. At this point, I think we have around 400 applications being deployed with this pipeline. And as I said, with a total number of around 12,000 deployments a month. And we expect it to be growing way bigger than that. Because this is only the Netherlands. We're currently trying to expand to Romania, to Germany, to Belgium, a lot of other countries. So it will be exciting to see how that will be working. Okay, I've come to the end of this presentation. What we always do is recommend some sessions that are really interesting to see if you want to. Just have a quick look for yourself if there's anything interesting you see worthwhile there. And some really must-see demos if you want to. Especially around release automation, what we're using. And you can follow conversations on the Smart Bar and the Tech Talks. And then we come to the Q&A. Can you use the mic? Is that possible?
Can you go back to the recommended sessions for a moment?
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
There you go. Got it? Good. Now skip back to the Q&A, like it belongs to. Any questions?
Hi.
Hi.
The continuous pipeline software that you developed in-house, is any chance you're going to open source that?
Sorry, there?
The software you build in-house, the continuous delivery pipeline software, is there any chance you would open source that?
That it will be open source?
Yeah.
No. But you bring me to an idea, because we are my colleagues, and you might inspire us to set up a company and to make it open source. Why not? Why not? But we're not giving out the source code, but we're always happy to explain a bit about how we did it and how you can set it up yourself. Most of it is being built with Java or, I think, JavaScript, Node.js, yeah. These kind of techniques, simple. Anybody else? Questions?
Yeah, so I was going to ask a similar kind of question, which is, you built all your own user portal to review all of this. You built your own metrics. You built your own event bus. So does that mean that there's really nothing out there on the market that can do all of this?
No.
Any of it?
There is. The event bus actually is Kafka, which is an open source tool. You can use that one. What we see is that this market is going increasingly rapidly evolving. So tools come up like mushrooms. It's incredible how fast this market is going. So when we started these kind of things, we noticed that these tools were not available. But as you look now at the landscape, and we have our architect here, Jan, he can explain more about it after the session. There are a couple of interesting tools coming up that might be able to indeed do the kind of things that we have built ourselves. So these tools, they are out there. It's a bit early, in the maturity is not always that high, but they are coming up, these tools. You see them coming up, absolutely. Anybody else has a question? No? Okay. Then we leave it at that. Thank you.